Hey, what's up guys? It is Thursday here at the Oldbarn Homestead, and my name's Gary for those of you that are new to the channel. And if you happen to be finding this video for the first time, you don't know about my other channel, check the link in the description of the video. And the main Ramsey Customs channel is where we show all of our projects and that kind of thing. And this channel is more just, you know, me just kind of rambling and showing what's going on. And check this out. See my truck down here, and just mowed for the first time this year, and obviously we got some crap. I just sprayed some Roundup on that so I don't have to deal with weed eating it. But been in here a year, never had a couch, love seat, anything like that. And check it out there. Woohoo! We're making progress around here. I'm getting ready to get back on the paint booth. I've kind of gotten to a point here the last couple of days where I've finished up the jobs that I had in, and I'm out of billable work to do. So I mean, there's a couple of things there. I've got an intake in there, that 350Z intake. I need to jump on that. That's a money maker, but you know, it's 150 bucks or whatever. But every little bit helps, so I need to do that one. And then I've got a couple people wanting metal art stuff that I've given quotes on, but I've not gotten the go-ahead. So got a couple days here to get some things done, and got a really cool project coming up that Eco Mouse Design has designed, that I've got to do the cutting and building a prototype, and we'll probably turn that into a kit. And it's going to be a bender, but kind of a specialty one, so that should be pretty cool. Anyway, the one thing I wanted to ask you guys about here, so I was just walking out to the paint booth. I got to get going on that. So a little bit about what is going on here. I told myself that I was not going to accept any more products to do reviews on, and it's hard to turn down free stuff. So I got this thing, a little mini air compressor that will connect up to your charger port in your car, 12-volt DC. And so, you know, I don't know, I think they sell those for about $80, and I'll have a link on that in the main video when I do it to demo it. And then for some reason, I don't know why I accepted this, but I sure did. It's a little mini lathe, and you can see the tool rest right here and tailstock on it. This is a $42 lathe, so I thought that might be something I could use for a project someday, but we'll see about that. And I'm working on this Ford sign, and this was the test one I cut out of a solid sheet of aluminum. And here is I'm using the outer ring and the letters, and this is what was left of it. And it's pretty nice. It did a really nice job on it. You can see the edge of that. Really pleased with that. And the back of it, you know, it's got some dross on it. A few places here and there. Mostly around where it pierces at. But all in all, I'm really pleased with it. I cut that on the table. And I just about had that thing wrapped up and was going to be, you know, probably shipping it out here in the next day or two. And this is the back piece that goes behind it that's obviously blue. And I'm overlaying some footage of what it looked like out in the sun that I showed the customer. And I wasn't happy with it. For one thing, I got a hair in it that you can see right there. And I couldn't get it out. I tried to fish it out right there and get the tip of it 3 or 4 times. And I just could not get it to come out of there. And so I tried to touch up, because where I touched it at, it went down to the bare metal. The aluminum, because it's candy, you can't do much with it, you know, and you can't really do anything with it really because it's candy. So the other thing is this cobalt color, the darker you go with it, the more it takes on a purple color to it. So obviously I'm out here wet sanding this thing, and I'm going to repaint it. I went to the paint store and bought some Viper, Pearl Viper Blue, the same color that Shut Your Face Garage used on Jim's truck. And that's a sweet color. I've always liked that color. I think it'll make a really cool background for the Ford sign. And let's see, the letters, yeah, the letters and all the rest of it's in there. So anyway, just kind of, you know, working on various things. I've wanted to get something organized over here for all my fittings, tips for the plasma table, and I've had this thing sitting around forever. I can't remember if I bought it at a flea market locally or if I got it on eBay. Either way, it's a, you know, it's like a little cabinet that a store would have, like a display cabinet, you know, for inventory. And I never had anything in it. It was just been sitting around. So now I've got the new nozzles, the electrodes, and the new nozzles or tips. I call them tips, but formally they're nozzles. So I've got let's see, I think, yeah, these are fine cuts here. You see the little tiny orifice in them, and then these are the 45 amp regular ones, and then I got some 65 amp and 85 amp. I mostly use fine cut, and you know, I don't really cut a lot of big stuff, but I do use those some. And then up here I've got all of my discarded ones, and I keep those, you know, because a lot of those are still really good for like rough cutting things, but after a little bit of use on any tip or nozzle, you start to lose the kerf on it. And if you're trying to get something dimensional, or if you're trying to get a lot of really fine detail, you start to lose some of that pretty quickly with it. But they're still good for big things, you know, that you're just rough cutting and you're not like really overly concerned about the dimension on it. One time, check this thing out. Holy cow. I was cutting some 1/4 inch stuff, and it had been cutting for a long time. And I noticed I wasn't really watching it. I was, you know, the table was running, I was around it, but I wasn't watching it cut in detail. And it had cut like, I don't know, 5 or 6 things out, and it stopped piercing all the way through. It was just kind of gouging basically, and pretty much ruined about 1/4 of a sheet of 1/4 inch sheet. And that was the tip that came out of it. Think I got all the life out of that? Anyway, so really happy with the new table. It's running good, and you're really not a lot left to do on it. I got one issue here with my drain that I put in there. It's leaking, and it's leaking at the PVC fitting that actually screws into the bottom of the drain there. So I got a replacement in steel nipple here, and I'm gonna cut the threads off the bottom of it and probably just put a few little tacks on it, because I have it connected with a rubber connector. There, you see that? So I got to get that done, and that'll be something that the first time I drain the table, you know, as part of my new, more routine table draining. It doesn't need it yet. I've only cut just a couple things on it. But the one thing I wanted to ask you guys about in this video was my air conditioning unit. And I'm gonna try to make this quick, but get to the point. My issue is that it needs to be, the coil needs to be taken out of it and flushed with acid, because here's what happened. The contractor, the company that I chose to put this in, some of you may remember hearing me talk about it here and there, but the company I chose to have put this in, they abandoned the job before it was complete. They got this unit up and running, and then this unit was almost running, and then they just abandoned it. And I didn't realize it, but they had this pre-filter here that was sort of stuck in there, but there were no regular filters in, and that pre-filter doesn't even really fit it. And I ran it for the first year like that. Well, guess what? Guess how much dirt and dust and, you know, fab shop stuff it pulled into it. Because the first summer I used it, not last summer, but the summer before that, man, this thing, with all this spray foam in here, in the middle of, you know, July and August when it's 105 degrees outside, you could hang meat in here. I mean, it would just run you out of here. And, you know, you could put it on 70 or whatever you wanted it on, and it would it would not run all the time. You know, it would run and keep it cool and shut off for a little bit like you would normally expect. Well, this past summer, it was running all the time. It would never shut off, and it always stayed kind of warm and muggy in here. It was not removing the humidity. I mean, it was cool enough. It was fine. It would keep it tolerable. So I had a guy come out, and that's what he said it needed. He took one look inside of it and was like, man, this thing looks like it's 15 years old. So it's just my bad. You know, at the time I had all this going on. I mean, I was so distracted and pulled in a million different directions. I was still working my full-time job. These people were, you know, I was trying to deal with subcontractors, and people were not, you know, not doing what they were supposed to be doing. And I just, now on this, they did abandon the job, but I also short paid them by $2,000. So they never came and finished it up to collect the rest of their money. So, you know, I got a discount by $2,000 on it, but now I gotta deal with this. So my question to you guys is, has anybody ever pulled the coil out of one? And the guy that came out said, when we see them like this, we pull the coils out and run acid through them to clean them out. That's the only way you can do it. How big of a job is that? And, you know, would you recommend that I could do that myself if I got some help? Or do I need to pay somebody to do that? So anyway, guys, that's about it. You can see I got a pretty dang big mess in here. And I really want to get that paint booth going before a full-blown summer gets here. And I want to get that fixed as well. So I'm just trying to use a little bit of this downtime I have to take care of stuff like that. And I don't know, you guys may remember that this area had gotten like completely just jam-packed with wood offcuts. And while I was doing all the plumbing for the plasma table, I got all that out of there and cleaned it out and moved it out to the barn. So anyway, I'm happy about that. You know what? You get stuff backing up and create a big mess. It's so nice to, I mean, one of the big stressors in anything to me is when you get yourself backed into a corner and you're just jammed up, you can't even move. And it was kind of getting that way. It was getting really frustrating to get over in that area. Even to get to the electrical panel, I had so much stuff. And I don't have a good, you know, system for that. I don't have a good plan for wood offcuts. And right now I've got a big, huge pile out back. I don't collect that much of it, but there are some. So anyway, I'm thinking about mounting this thing. I know I'm rambling on. You guys answer the question about the air conditioner, but I want to mount that right underneath this. But I don't know if it's got enough, you know, stability there. It should, because you're adding quite a bit of extra weight. Another thing I could do is you know, mount it right underneath there so it's handy. Oh, I could also mount it on the wall over here. So some options there, but I need to figure something out. Otherwise it'll just kind of keep, the next thing you know, it'll be on the floor. And I still have to do a little bit of cable management back here. I don't know if you know, I did some, but it's not quite where I want it to be, but it's not bad. All right, guys, let me get to wet sanding on this thing and get this finished up. And you guys let me know what you think about that air conditioning. How big of a deal is that? I would assume that coil would come out of this side there where that is. The other change I want to make too is, you see this pump is right here. It never got hooked up. They ran this PVC, and that was the last thing I told them was, I don't want that PVC in there. I don't want to lose this clearance right here to get my gantry crane and stuff around. And so they sent me these pumps and, you know, said that they would get them hooked up if I mounted them. And then that's when I never heard anything more. I did get the pumps from them. And I don't think those were cheap, over $100 a piece. And you see this one, it comes to the pump right here, and then it runs in this clear tubing out and over here and exits back into PVC so that it's up and out of the way. And that blue line you see there, that's the air line, the 3/4 inch rapid air stuff. So all right, guys, let me get to wet sanding on this thing, and so I can repaint this, and you guys let me know what you think. See ya.